using the word authority and submission is not even necessary. You don't have to tell a child, you will grow, you will grow, you will grow. That has been inbuilt. A man does not have to tell a wife, you will submit, you will submit. From the time that man has to do that, something is wrong with how he's operating in his marriage. So we do not need to think of the words authority and think of the word submission. We need to think as husbands of the word love.
Welcome back as we continue to journey through the marriage key. By the way, if you haven't picked up the book or listened to it, what are you doing? I mean, what are you doing? Anybody who's not living under a rock, I believe, has read the book or will be reading it. So I want to encourage you to make sure you get a copy of the marriage key. Available on YouTube, I think Spotify, these audio platforms. It's also available on Amazon. Anyway that does audiobooks, ebooks, it's there, all right? The marriage key. And get some keys to unlock a greater dimension to your marriage and relationship. All right. So chapter 5, right? Chapter 5. This is one of the chapters I was reading and I had a few times I was laughing to myself. Through one portion of it, right? And we will see if maybe we get into that. But so how are you, sir? Quickly, how are you doing?
I am good, excited, and ready to plummet into this chapter 5. It's an interesting chapter.
This chapter is very profound, talking about the friendship and the authoritative relationship, which I find I was like, okay, this is interesting. And then I love that the chapter spoke into the fact that the marriage actually consists of two of them, and
Right.
it was interesting to also see that. Now, I want to definitely start off with asking you to talk about the friendship aspect, which I thought was very good to hear, especially in culture and time we see. I've seen, not consistent, but I've seen a lot of times where the friendship stage or the aspect is downplayed, or even I want to say overlooked. What is it possible for two people to skip this stage? And if so, what are the effects if they do?
It is not possible to skip this stage
Okay.
in the sense that dating requires that friendship stage.
Mm-hmm.
And if I could say, if there has to be an authority in dating, my belief is that that authority would then be the female.
Mm-hmm.
And the female should take authority during dating. But it is not possible to skip that friendship stage because that
Mm-hmm.
is where you begin. You begin as friends, and friends are people that have things in common.
Mm.
I like the same thing you like,
Right.
that sort of thing, and you go from there. So yeah, friendship is not something you can skip. It's a step. But what I can say is after you have gotten into a formal relationship, then you might be tempted, and it is possible then to skip the friendship at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
that is a very, very, very bad idea.
Very bad idea.
Yeah.
So what about people who and this happens many times. They just met at a bar or somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, knew each other for 3-4 hours and then they sleep together. Um, did that still in that would that still have been considered a level of friendship there?
Well, of course,
Okay.
of course, the authority gets involved when there is a commitment, when there is a long-term commitment. Without that long-term commitment, there isn't really an authority relationship. So that person that, or those persons that meet and in the same hour they're in bed, they're the things that bring them together. If we could try to count them, one would be the desire, that lust, that strong desire for the other person.
Right.
They have, both of them have that in common.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing would be the interest in how your looks, the way you look, your appearance, your body, your features, your facial features, how that entice the other person, and that is another thing that's in common. Your muscles, your swagger, whatsoever, your car, whatsoever. Those are mutual things that we both like each other, and they call it's a consensual relationship then.
Right.
And that is still under the friendship banner.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I just, the friendship aspect, man, especially in marriage, I've been finding out how important it is and how vital it is to have that as a I want to say maybe a pillar in your or even a foundation inside of the relationship going forward.
Oh yeah.
And so definitely something there. I really like that we started with that because we're comparing a friendship and an authoritative relationship.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. What other aspect do you have any other thoughts or aspect when it comes to this friendship stage that you want to input here that you think we need to hear?
I believe that it is something that should not be taken lightly, because this small but huge reality is something that can cause a relationship to last a lifetime. Nobody wants to be married to their enemy. Nobody wants a long-term relationship with someone that is an enemy, not looking out for their best interest. See, for us to be friends, there's a level of mutuality that comes into play. You can't be my friend and you're taking. You can't be my friend and you're choosing everybody else but me. You can't be my friend and you are never around. There are things that define friendship. So although as a husband, your responsibility is to love your wife, making your wife your friend, and even better, making your wife your best friend. And I'm talking you, sir, the husband, making your wife your best friend. You almost will not be able to go wrong. Because that is why friends enjoy hanging around each other. You don't hang around people that get on your nerves, that turn you off, that don't have your best interests. You don't hang around people like that.
Yeah. I remember I learned this some years ago that you can't, you don't choose a family you were born into, but you can choose your friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can choose. It's a choice that you make about who you will date, who you will marry, and that's what makes it all the more special, right?
This is right.
When there's times of trouble or hardship, it's almost almost a obligation that you have to your relatives to be there.
It says that a friend, even when a friend wound you, even when a friend hurt you, it is better than when an enemy comes and kiss you. You see? So a friend is that deep that if they have to hurt you to help you, they would. If they have to let you feel bad and say, this person is not good for you, they will do that. So I just wanted to throw that in, that even the hurt or the wounds of a friend is better than the kisses of an enemy.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Now, within early on in the chapter, you made a very interesting statement that it could be very tough to navigate, difficult to navigate. It can be actually very uh disadvantageous, if I could say so, for somebody who is not mutually invested, or where there is not a mutual affection during the friendship stage. During that time, if there's not mutual affection, it could be difficult to navigate. Can you explain a little more about that? What are some of those difficulties, and what can happen to an individual if one is more invested in this friendship stage, especially emotionally? One is more invested than the other. What are some of the difficulties there, or repercussions?
Are you talking about during dating or in a marriage?
The way I read it, it had the implication of dating, during the dating, and even within the friendship, I believe.
Yeah. Why ask it? Because you can have the situation occurring in marriage, and you can have it occurring in dating. And
Right.
in the case of dating,
Uh-huh.
I still would be a little bit on one side with the
Uh-huh.
information. So if you're a young lady
Mm-hmm.
and that young man has to decide between you and another young lady, if you are dating and that young man has to decide if you are good enough, then it's time for you to find another relationship or stay single.
Mm.
That would be my advice, because the thing with love, it's not just a good enough situation. Love is where
Mm.
you are going to choose someone and you're going to sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are not sure you want that person as a male, then you should not be dating.
Yeah. Mm. Mm.
Because then what do you want? If you have to choose if another girl is better and you're trying to date both of them to see which one you like more, that's not a proper picture of what love is. Because it's not who you like more, it is who you choose to love. Love is a
Right.
choice.
Right.
And so if a female finds herself in that predicament where she's one of many and there has to be a choice, I would help him make that choice.
Mm.
You
Mm.
know, I want you to imagine, if I can just slip this in quickly. Imagine any love song. Imagine all these stars singing. Do they sing, well, I love you, but I also love Susan,
Mm.
and I'm going to try to decide who is better between the two of you, who I like more? No, 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 no. When you hear these songs, that young lady, she is the center of their heart.
Right.
They're the apple of their eyes. They only have eyes for her, only she they can look at. Why do you make love songs that are singular, but now when you're dating, you want to be in duplicates?
Mm-hmm.
What's happening with that? Why doesn't the song reflect, or your behavior reflect what you say in the song?
Mm.
So I would tell that young lady, help him to make that decision. He needs some help.
Mm.
And I mean, let him go.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to choose. That it's easy. Choose that one.
Choose. this it's so simple. It's simple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
choose the other one.
Choose um now that was like a dating aspect, and you interesting, you said it can also happen in marriage.
Yeah.
What does that look like there, and what's some encouragement there? Because I was only thinking about it before marriage, but you're adding that it can actually happen in marriage.
Yes.
What does that look like also, and how does somebody navigate through that?
That's a bit harder.
It's a bit okay.
That's
I know
a
you
much.
like I know you like hard questions. I know you're like, if you went to the gym, you'd be the guy said, I'll bench 350 right now. Okay.
Yeah. That's truly a hard one, because the in a marriage, as we are discussing authority, it's at the end of the day, a marriage is an authority relationship.
Mhm.
There's no two way about it. There's only one way.
Mm.
It's an authority relationship.
Mm.
And so that means that the authority then is responsible to love. And so if a female does not want her relationship or her marriage, that is a telltale on the male in the relationship.
Right.
That is a telltale on the authority of the relationship.
Mhm.
And if the authority does not want his marriage, that is also a telltale on the same person. So then again, I can't help but say, in a sense, it is one-sided. Because if he's doing what he should be doing, then our previous discussion in the previous chapter steps into place. That female, that lady, that wife has received a curse by nobody less than the manufacturer. Her desire will be for you. If her desire is not for you, you're missing something, sir. If her desire is not for you, you are not doing something that you should be doing, or you are doing something that you should not be doing. And then when you begin to reap the bad harvest that you have planted, then you don't want that person. No, you want another friend. You want somebody else. You don't want to be. No. That is, if your wife does not want to be your friend, and does not want you to be her friend, you are missing something and you need some help.
Yeah, I'm thinking here also early on. I'll move on from here after this. The some encouragement here. I'm thinking too, especially in terms of marriage. When you look at the manual, and it gives us two pictures of marriage. One, it's not limited to these two, but it gives us two. One before, um, the fall of nature, and then the one after. And you look at
Yeah,
the one before, and you see where it talks about the husband and the wife were naked and unashamed, and that
yeah,
that that is very profound, because to me that the manufacturers are already encouraging friendship, vulnerability, transparency, and those are some of the things that you cultivate and that you have within your friendship. So
yeah.
just wanted to add that in, that it's healthy, and it makes for a more robust relationship when you have that kind of friendship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and speaking of, at that time, the authority relationship has always been the authority relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to say this, that the curse actually magnifies and amplifies
Mm.
the authority relationship,
Mm-hmm.
because the authority is always the authority.
Right.
But the curse now, where a woman, or a wife, I should say, a wife has been told that when you are married, your desire will be for your husband and he
Mm-hmm.
will rule over you.
Right.
That takes a relationship that already was an authority one, and now takes the divide between the two, the gap between the two gets wider,
Mm-hmm.
because now there has been a curse where it's not just an authority relationship, but now your desire is involved in it.
Right.
You see, and
Yeah.
so I just want to slip that in there as you said that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Now, when you begin to shift into the authoritative side of the chapter and talk about it, man, I want to hear from you. How important is it for husbands to understand um this authoritative relationship in love? Like how vital is that for husbands to understand? Because the minute somebody hears authority, it's some like, this is one of those words that I feel kind of has a negative connotation, like the like
Yeah,
discipline, and when you hear boundaries are like,
yeah.
but it's not. So how important is it for a husband to have a healthy understanding of authority as a husband? Like what? Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, because there are so many things going off in my mind. One,
Mm,
they nobody wants their curse. So a man does not want to hear, especially a man in 2024, does not want to hear that it is his responsibility to be the breadwinner of the house. His lady must work as hard as he does, and she has no value if she is not making equal money to what he's making.
mm,
That is a man not wanting to take on his curse, and he's saying it's also for the woman.
mm,
And on the flip side, you have women not wanting their curse.
mm,
And they are going to tell you, we are not going to be subject to no man.
mm.
So
Yeah.
we all want the benefit of her curse. A woman wants a man to look after her. It is by design. That has been ingrained in her by the
Mm-hmm,
manufacturer.
mm-hmm,
But she does not want a man to be the authority in the relationship. And
mm,
there's a big reason why.
mm,
The answer to your question is the reason why women have this resistance to that. Because a man that does not know what authority means will
mm,
abuse it.
mm-hmm,
A man that does not know his authority and his muscle to protect his family is not to hurt his family. It's not to lift his hand and to abuse his family. It is to
right,
protect his family from
right,
threats.
right, right, right,
A
right,
man that does
right,
not
right.
understand that will lay his strength onto
Misuse it.
those who are weaker than him
Mm,
in strength. And the same thing with authority. This is not saying that you are to be bossing around people like you're an animal, or like they're animals and you are a butcher. That makes no sense.
yeah.
That is not authority. If you go to work, you don't want your boss treating you that way. although your boss is an authority over you, you expect to be treated as a human being. You see? And you expect to have some level of respect also as a
Right.
human being.
Right.
And so it's no different in your marriage. Your wife is a human being.
Mm.
And she expects for you to have some level of respect for her too. She's not a rag doll that you toss about. And so men understanding what authority is not
Yeah. Yeah.
is key. That is the first thing, understanding what authority is, what it is not. And it is not bullying. It is not bossing around your wife. That is what you do in the army. And if your wife, anyway, the other good half of it is an authority. You can remove the word authority and put the word love. Because all authority function the best when they are in love. And I'm not talking about romantic love.
Right. Right.
So saying the word authority, you are actually saying the word love.
Right.
And so imagine a policeman who wants to tell you what to do and push you all around in the city. And when someone comes to you and threatens your life, that policeman runs and leave you by yourself. So when it comes to tell you what you should do, whether you should come out on the street, which side of the street you can drive on, he wants to tell you what to do. But now when it's time for him to show love, sacrifice, then he runs in the other direction.
Right.
No, you can't do this thing. Love is you being there, you giving, you choosing, and you sacrificing. And so understanding authority is understanding that your responsibility. Authority means that you function in love.
Right.
And so those would be the two things that are paramount for a male to understand.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it's a good way that you brought a light to the word authority, because again, when authority, it's not just saying what to do, what not to do. It's responsibility. And then it also, I always say that authority comes with accountability. You must be accountable. You will have to, actually, anybody who is in authority, at least in any healthy space, they have to give an account every so often, whether it's you oversee finances for an area. There's coming an end of year report, and you will be held accountable for the management that and the stewardship that you gave. So
and just to
yeah.
be clear, the accountability of an authority is usually never to those under the authority.
Yeah, yes.
Usually.
Usually.
But at the same time, there is a need for transparency.
Right.
And so I just want to clarify that. But even if that authority does not be accountable to those under his authority, nothing is wrong with that. I'm just saying it's not a legislation. You will have to answer one day, because there's always a higher authority until you reach the highest authority. And you will have to answer one of these days. You see? And if you're found out, for example, if an authority is cheating because of not being accountable, and that authority is caught, then the person under authority will leave that authority. Right. Or at least I should say should leave.
Right.
But again, I just wanted to throw that in there, no? Yeah.
Do you have any other points or thoughts on this authority side of things that we have the author here, so do you have any other nugget, any other thing that you wanted to put out when it comes to the authoritative aspect that you wrote about?
Yeah, in the manual it says that cheating destroys authority. Cheating. And it says, it says because of a whorish woman, I think is the way it is written, a man can be brought down to a piece of bread.
Wow.
If you can't keep your zipper up, you lose the respect of your wife. And I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you what the manual says. You are brought down to a piece of bread because of a whorish woman. Right. So authority is something that although it should be respected, it is not something that means you can do whatever you want and break your covenant and expect to get the same benefits. So I just want to throw that in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it comes back to that accountability point that and not just accountability, but assessment, which I think we can talk about a little later on when it comes to
Yes.
evaluation. But so let me say, man, I get every so often I get a chance to talk to younger men who are coming up, and I would talk to them about the importance of you learning to be a leader, especially one that leads in love learning, manhood, these different conversations. And sometimes I think they get a little upset because I would challenge them to say that your job, our job, is to lead in love. But
Yes.
and so they would always be like, well, you could do all of that, but what if the wife or the woman still, cheats or walks out or disrespects or whatever it is? So I would like to hear a little bit of encouragement from you, or what would be your advice? Let's say a husband is crossing all his T's and dotting all his I's. He really is truly, truly leading and ruling in love. And the wife isn't um submissive or cooperative, or what's your encouragement, what's your advice to a guy in that position?
I love that question. And my answer to that question, and this is why I like the question, my answer to the question is that it is impossible.
Hmm.
It is impossible for your wife or your mate to not be submissive to you
Hmm.
if you are crossing all your T's and dotting all your I's.
Hmm.
So that's why I love that question. Very short answer, but it is impossible. If she is not submissive,
Yeah.
there's a T that you're missing or an I that you're not dotting somewhere. That's it.
That's it. Point
Yeah.
again. Uh yeah. All right, fair enough. I like your answer, because I do think it just pushes us to make sure that we are giving it everything. I want to say, man, we have been made and called to be men in this time, for such a time as this. All right, so
Yeah, it's I don't want to leave men hanging, because I guess we can help to some extent to
right.
clarify here that you you might think that you are doing everything,
Hmm.
and you might be doing everything that you know. You might be doing everything that you think is right. You
Oh, I
might be
see
doing
what you're
everything
saying.
that you think is necessary.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
can even be doing right things.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I think the manual says that there's a way that seems right to a man. There's always a way that we feel is the right way. Um, and so that's a very good point. And so you're saying if he's really doing it the right way, it's impossible.
It's impossible.
Um, it's impossible that the woman is just taking him for a ride.
You don't even have to be 100% doing it the right way.
Hmm.
You can be at 70,
70.
because 70 is a passing mark.
Right.
It's not the best, but you can be at 70.
Hmm.
If
Hmm.
a lady does not submit to you, it's because you are not behaving in a way that is respectable. You are not behaving in a way that is mature. You're not behaving in a way that is responsible. I'm not saying all of those, but it can be either of those or a mixture of those.
Right.
So if that lady has to be out working hard and
Hmm.
then coming home taking care of the kids
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
trying to find where the next food will come from because her money is not enough to pay the rent and take care of the kids, then what are you doing? And she must come home and give you sex and give you food while she works as a slave horse?
Wow.
Then how can you say, yeah, what are you crossing? Maybe her legs in a chair. But I don't see you crossing any T's. So
He's
I'm
crossing
it's
the legs, man.
yeah. Women take what you give to them, multiply it, and give it back to you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Which I think I like that statement. I think it segues us right into a very pivotal part of this chapter, the origin of the blame game, man. What are some things that you wanna what you know what was in your what frame of mind were you in, and what do you wanna say to us with the origin of the blame game? Because it is evident today, and I think this is one of the areas that men come under attack. Uh, uh, with dodging and responsibility rather than rising to the occasion. So
Yeah.
what yeah, can you talk to us a little bit about that, about the origin of the blame game, and what's on your heart even right now about that?
It is all tied into one big blob. How we have discussed, it's just tied into one thing, the issue of authority.
Hmm.
It's the issue of understanding. That question you asked about authority, that is the important question. The issue of authority. You can blame everything. If you are the authority, it is your responsibility. You see? So if you're driving your car, I think this is the example I explained. You're driving your car and the tail light is not working.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell the police these tail light, the traffic police don't want to hear about your tail
Right,
lights.
right.
He was the one that brought it to your attention. If he could see it, why couldn't you see it? And it's your car.
Yeah.
You see? Even if the vehicle has a problem with its tail lights, your tail light is there to protect you from an accident. It communicates to the driver behind you that you're stopping.
Yeah. Slowing down. Mm-hmm.
And it prevents an accident so that the roads can be clear. Yeah?
Yeah.
And when that is not working, whether you have a good excuse or not, people can die because of your bad taillights.
Yeah, your negligence. Yeah.
And it might not be intentional negligence, as we discussed earlier. You might not even know that your taillight is not working.
Right.
But it is still your responsibility because
Right.
you are the authority in the car.
Yes.
You are the one behind the wheel.
Yes.
If it's not insured, they won't take the car to jail.
Mm. Mm.
They won't charge the car.
It's funny. Be like, you deal with this.
Yeah, you are the authority. And so the blame game comes from the authority running from their responsibility.
Mm. Mm.
You see, the manufacturer went to Adam, he blamed his wife. So the manufacturer went to his wife, she blamed the snake.
Mm.
And when you look at it, the human has authority over the snake, even gave it its name. Okay? So Eve had authority over the serpent. And then now she's blaming the serpent. So here you have humans again running from their responsibility. Don't blame the snake. The snake did not push it down your throat and take your mouth and put it together and cause you to chew the apple.
Yeah.
You were drawn away by your own lust. And likewise for you, sir, your wife did not take the apple and stuff it down your throat with a toilet plunger.
Mm-hmm.
And she did not turn around and move your jaw. You ate the apple of your own lust. Take responsibility, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so an authority needs to understand that even if it is not your fault,
it's your responsibility.
Your responsibility. And that's why we have there that Adam had choices. Can you imagine how it would have been? And I didn't want to say this, but I'll say this. Imagine what life would have been like if only Eve ate the apple.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what would happen. You would have had one person that sinned, and you would have had a whole world, billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of people inside Adam that did not.
Right. Interesting.
So he could have been put back to sleep and another Eve taken out.
Right.
And you will say, well, how would it be? This is how it would be. It would be that you would have billions and billions and billions of people walking around who their minds have not been distorted and twisted. They are not angry. They are not devilish and wicked and murderous. And you would have, that is what you would have had. You would, only one person would have been that way. You lock that person up in jail until she dies. But no, the authority, rather than wanting to be responsible, was moved by its own lust and ate also. And so the blame game now comes to play. Because now I know that what I did was not right. I know I'm naked. Now I'm hiding. Why am I hiding? Because I know I did something that's not right. When all my adrenaline was up and I was looking at that sexy, juicy apple, then I did not think about what I was doing. Now after I ate it, suddenly it's not my fault that I ate it. It's not my fault that I looked at it lustfully, wanted it, and now I'm eating it. It's not my fault that I swallowed it and ate it. It's her fault because she gave me. And that is where the blame game is from the beginning. And so you will, it's a rare gem when you find a male being willing to say, you know what, I am responsible. Even if it's not my fault, I am responsible for this relationship. And so I'm going to take responsibility, make the necessary sacrifices, and do what I need to do. And from the beginning, it was not so, because instead of that man taking responsibility and doing what he needed to do, he went and ate also. So now he takes something that is already messed up and secured its condition of being messed up. He secured it for everybody else.
Right.
And that is where the blame game comes in. Us not wanting to take responsibility.
So in thank you. In view of the options that you gave, I mean, I had to laugh because I mean, you said he could have drop kicked the fruit, you know. It's like I was like, I got a picture in my mind of those, you know, like, yeah, you know. And but in all of that, which I found it very refreshing. I mean, what does it look like today? How would a man navigate with these options today? Because what I see in life is that we all have the garden of our home or marriage, and there's always this fruit that still presents itself. It's not an how what would it look like practically for a man to walk with some of these options today? Because especially when, for example, especially when a man, and I'll be vulnerable. I've been there before, where a man we choose the route of passivity, because if I address my wife or family in this area that we know we shouldn't take this fruit, it's gonna, you know, I want to quote unquote keep the peace. So I take the route of passivity. How does a man, a husband navigate through these times in the present day garden, if I could put it that way?
Yeah, that's a deep question, and it takes a lot, because the fruit was, if I could say it this way to create a picture, the fruit was in one unit.
Right.
The fruit that he shouldn't eat. The minute he interacted with that fruit, the fruit multiplied. So now, almost every turn you make, there's a fruit.
Right.
And the fruit is also inside you. So you want that fruit. You want more of it. It's like drugs. When you take it, it's inside you and you want more, and you're going to do things to get it.
Right.
So you're getting into manufacturer territory now. And so that is why the manufacturer gave us a manual to help us to navigate the garden that we're on now. And we have our choices. And listen, the problem here is the strength. We have the ability to choose.
Yes.
Having the ability to choose is what makes love a reality. If you are not able to choose, then no love is involved in that. For you to love, you have to be able to choose. There has to be choices that you can make.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are still walking in that, and that is what causes that is what has caused where we are now. That we had the ability to choose, and we chose what we wanted, and now we are suffering the consequence of that. And so we are still in that same vein because there is still love. And we have to be able to choose what we will or who we will obey. So the manual tells us where we need to go, how we need to go,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes why we need to go,
Who we need to go with.
who we need to go with, and it continues to give us direction and guidance.
Right.
It continues to light our pathway that we can see.
Man, it's good.
But we do not have to take that path because of love, we have a choice. The problem today, we want to choose what is right in our own eyes.
Mm.
That is fine because we have that choice. But you did not make yourself.
Yes.
You were not even able to bring yourself on this earth. Your
Wow.
mom and dad did that for you.
Mm.
And so now you want to continue to do your own thing and everything must be good. It must turn out good. Everything must turn out hunky-dory. It doesn't matter which principle we break, it must turn out right.
Right.
So today, people today want to say, I should be able to jump off a 3rd-story building or a 35-story building because I identify as a kite. And nothing should happen to me because now I'm a kite. And so we jump off the building, not looking at the principles that have been set in place, such as gravity, which we need. And so this is a problem. This is a problem. And so what I would say to navigate, you cannot avoid what the manual recommends.
Right.
If you don't want to follow the manual, the same thing will continue repeating itself and it will end up in debt, 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 debt. That is what not using the manual gives us, debt.
Wow. I thought that as a husband, passivity leads to perpetual problems because you know it comes around and again and again. Wow. Yeah. So I'm glad I asked that question. I got a great insight.
If I could add this just to be a little bit more direct, as a husband, it is your responsibility to train, to teach, and to sort of agree with your wife and set standards. You know, that is your job. Set standards for your kids. If you don't do it, then when they get older, they will bring you to shame. They will embarrass you. They might hurt you. You see? So you set the standard, and as a male, it is your responsibility. If it's a child, train that child from that child is young, is growing with the values that you believe that child should have. If it's your wife, then you say, this is how we are agreeing to do things. Do you have a problem with this? And if she has a problem with it, then there's a need for you to sit with her and look at it. If your wife wants to be a criminal, then it is still your responsibility. You have to say, listen, in this house, we don't operate this way. I'm sorry, but I cannot encourage you in doing this. I might be the one to report you to the police. Because this is not how the house that I'm responsible for is going to operate, and I need external help.
Right.
You see, so it still drops in that husband's lap. And he has to navigate. Yeah, he has to navigate that.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's don't forget one of his responsibility is to drop kick the fruit. Okay, you don't forget. We got to learn to do the jiu-jitsu or whatever it is.
Yeah.
judo drop kick. All right, good. Look, man, I have probably like one more question. And then I'll leave it to you for your final thoughts. You made it's a heavy principle and a statement in the chapter that basically I'm just kind of paraphrasing and putting it all in here that the onus is on the husbands for the success of the marriage and the relationship. In our time, it seems like that's an unfair thing to say to men, right? And and the pushback would be, how can a relationship that involves two people have, how is it that the responsibility is solely on one person for a relationship that has two people? So advice or encouragement, what do you have to say to a pushback like that?
It's a fair pushback. And if you are thinking that, then you should not be in a relationship.
Mm.
Because
As a
that
man,
means,
right?
as a man,
Okay.
because that means you're not ready.
Mm.
It is unfair to expect a 4-year-old, a 10-year-old to be responsible in any relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You should not be in a relationship. But I can say to you that the reason why that is expected, and it is not from myself or yourself, this is an instruction from the manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why he can put that type of responsibility or weight on the shoulder of the male in a relationship is because he has coined things to work in that way.
Mm-hmm.
He has put inside the female this desire for her husband, and he has cursed the female that her husband will rule over her. So if you're not with a man, you're okay. The minute you get with a man, and not a one-night fling I'm talking about, I mean you decide to have a long-term relationship with that man, whether you're married or not, a long-term relationship activates the curse. And so if you have somebody that the manufacturer has made an extra effort to make sure that their desire is for you and that you will rule over them, then that same manufacturer has the right, I could say, to require of you to be responsible for whatever happens in that relationship.
Right.
If you have a classroom, the parents leave those children with you. And whatever happened in that classroom, you're responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have them lighting bombs and stoning each other and picking up chairs and fighting with each other and say, oh, leave them right there. No, they're in your care.
Mm.
And you have been given a demerit system.
Right.
You have been given a system where you might have a counselor you can call.
Right.
You know, you have to use the tools that were given to you. And so as a man, it is important for you to be equipped with these things. And if you're asking that question and you're fighting back, then you're actually not ready to work in a relationship because you're someone with authority that don't understand how to use it and believe that your wife is equal in authority to you, and that is not the case.
Wow. Right. 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 Yeah. Yeah. She's not equal in authority. And this I do think like the word authority and submissive, man, I really would love for those words to be properly defined in these times, properly delivered, because there's such a negative connotation and attachment that follows these words. But if we would choose to embrace them and live in them the right way, it would actually tend to bliss and I want to say even some fruitfulness, right? And
Of
so
course.
and function. So yeah. So what are you have any final points or thoughts that you want to download on us today, sir?
Well, since you've said that, I just want to say that using the word authority and submission is not even necessary. You don't have to tell a child, you will grow, you will grow, you will grow. That has been inbuilt.
Right.
A man does not have to tell a wife, you will submit, you will submit. From the time that man has to do that, something is wrong with how he's operating in his marriage. So we do not need to think of the words authority and think of the word submission. We need to think as husbands of the word love. What does it mean to love my wife? It is not just an emotion.
Right.
It is not just a feeling.
Right.
That is one of the lower forms of love with a different name.
Right.
We need to know how to love our wives. And once that word love is at the center of what we do, once that drives our actions or behavior, once our maturity becomes where our love is mature, then everything else will fall into place. We don't have to talk about authority. We don't have to talk about submission. Everything will fall right into place because it is inbuilt. So that is what I would want to say. At the end of the day, a marriage is an authority relationship that works best when you are both friends.
Yeah. Amen. Well, ladies and gentlemen, remember, go and get a copy of the Marriage Key, right? Everywhere audiobooks and ebooks are available, it is there. Amazon, Spotify, YouTube, I would believe, iTunes, all these different platforms, it is there. And so the Marriage Key by Sylburn Arthurs, listen, it's an investment that you won't regret. All right. So until next time, I hope to see you as we dissect and digest chapter 6. Okay. So later on, until then, I'm Shane, and on the other end,
I'm Sylburn. Take care.
All right. Take care, guys. Later.